Hello, I'm Jeff Jackson with Whirly Media Productions, and this is Whirlyball 101. In this video, we're going to discuss breaking a defense's high wall. First, let's review the difference between a high wall and a low wall. A low wall is when the defense has their line of three set up underneath or inside of the offense's deepest player, also known as their cherry picker or floater. In contrast, a high wall is when the defense has a goalie one-on-one with the offense's cherry picker and three players aligned above or outside the cherry picker. This kind of defense can ruin an offense's day, as it can force them to take shots from much further away and under duress. So let's talk about how to counter this as an offense. First, it's important to broaden our mindset beyond just a single possession, and to redefine what a success looks like. What I mean by this is, it might not be realistic to expect to execute so well that your team ends up with a wide open layup this play. Instead, a success might more realistically be just forcing the defense to drop back from their outside wall to an inside wall during this play, and maybe your team will get a better look during your next possession. This is an important concept in Whirlyball in general. You can't win the game in a single possession, so always try to be thinking about what the next possession could look like for both offense and defense. So now, for the mechanics of the play. This maneuver requires all 5 members of the offense to work in coordination because everyone has a very specific job, which if not performed correctly and in sync with one another, could spell disaster for your next defensive position. First, the offense is going to have to split the court. While a team is still getting used to this maneuver, it's helpful for the cherry picker to call this out. This means 2 players have to drive to one side of the court, and 1 player drives to the other side, thus isolating a single member of the defense. The 2 players on the outside's job right now is simple: just drive toward the wall. The cherry picker is responsible for directing the person in the middle to which side of the court to go to in order to create the isolation on the other side. The player in the middle can do their team a favor by anticipating which way to go by observing in which direction the cherry picker will have the easiest time driving and then going to the opposite side. Once the defense is split, the cherry picker drives to the isolation and sets a pick, allowing for their teammate to roll inside. The players on the overloaded side must stay on their side to keep the defense honest. If the defense doesn't react to this pick in time, the result could be a 2-on-1 and thus a layup opportunity for the offense. The defense's only recourse will be to drop back to an inside wall to stop the layup, and a smart defense will acquiesce to this quickly. The 2 other players on the offense both have specific jobs to perform, and the timing is crucial. First, the player in the middle can help slow the defense's response by keeping in contact with the middle defender, thus slowing them. This is also known as a pillow block. This increases the chances of the cherry picker and the player for whom they set the pick getting the 2-on-1 play. The player on the outside has an essential role to play, arguably the most important, because if they do not react in time, they risk giving up a layup to the other team on the very next play. Because a defender was picked off and is now on the outside of their defense, they may have a window in which they can sneak onto offense, creating an early 2-on-1 against your goalie. While the pick is happening, the player furthest away from the pick must return to defense to discourage the picked off defender from jumping onto offense. If it becomes a race, your goalie must do their best to hold or pillow block the opposing cherry picker to allow their teammate to get inside with them. If all of this was executed well, you should now have forced the defense to transition from an outside wall to an inside wall, if not having created an open layup opportunity. A well-practiced team can execute this in 10 to 15 seconds, leaving half or more of their 30-second possession to create a respectable screenshot. Even if that shot is still from pretty far away or doesn't go in, you have succeeded in pushing the defense back, which gives your defense time to get set for the next play and may create an even better opportunity on your next offensive possession. Again, it's important to think about Whirlyball in broader terms than just your current possession. You can't win the game in a single possession, so spending a possession to make incremental progress like this can go a long way to helping subsequent possessions yield better opportunities and a better overall chance to win the game.